I'm having a lot of trouble sleeping. I've just been seeing a lot of posts on Facebook because it is October and it is Cancer Awareness Month. And I've also myself have posted a few things about breast cancer and trying to raise money for research and things like that. And I don't know, October, it just makes me think more about my breast cancer. I hate saying my breast cancer, but breast cancer, and being stage 4 and all that. And so I started thinking, and it was just kept going, thoughts just kept coming in and out of my mind. And I started thinking, and my mind went back to the day that I found out that I was stage 4. So basically I started typing it out or writing it out in my phone, because I was going to put it in my blog, but I decided that I'm going to make it into a video. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my other videos, because I'm actually going to be reading what I wrote, just so that I don't miss anything or leave anything out. So yeah, this is March 2016, and so they called me to come in early for my PET scan results. I found out a week prior that I had breast cancer, but what I didn't know was what stage. Before she could get in a word, I had already made up my mind to say this, but before she could even start, I told her, I'm ready for surgery. Remove my breasts. I don't want it. Remove both of them. I don't need them. I'm an older woman. I'm not having any more children. I don't want my breasts. Remove them. I'd already made up my mind. And so she put her hand on my arm, I remember, and she said, unfortunately, the PET scan shows cancer in the breast, in my lymph nodes, in my chest, my liver, my neck, and my bones. I believe she said my bones lit up like a little Christmas tree. I know that's strange for a doctor to say that, but I'm almost 100% positive that she said that. I mean, I don't know where my mind would make that up or why it would, but I don't know. So surgery to remove the breast would be unnecessary at that point. My heart was racing, and I had to calm my breathing. I could barely hear anything else she said from that point on. Looking back, I think I was in a bit of shock. My inner voice kept saying, calm down, don't cry right now, just calm down and don't cry. But my eyes filled with tears anyways. Now, what I'm going to say to you next is going to sound strange. I know it's going to sound strange, but it is what it is. The doctor was talking about what I can remember or assume was what stage 4 means, the facts, typical protocol, typical treatment plans, etc. I don't know, but I could barely hear her. She sounded far away, like far, far, far away. And I remember she had a painting of a yellow rose on the wall, and I just stared at it and I concentrated on it. And I remember thinking about my grandma, who had passed away a couple years prior. And so I kept thinking, like, Grandma, if you're there, give me strength. Give me strength. And so my grandmother also had breast cancer, but she didn't die from breast cancer. She didn't have stage 4. And so while I'm staring at the painting on the wall, I just began to drift away. It was like I was dreaming, or like what I could assume how it would feel to be under hypnosis. Like I said, I know this sounds strange. I just drifted into a calm sea. I was like floating about 10 feet underwater. I felt safe and strangely comforted and protected, and I just remember feeling peaceful. I know I was underwater for a few minutes, but I didn't struggle or have any issues with breathing, or even thinking that I was going to have issues with breathing even though I was underwater. I know it's strange. So I remember I could see the blue sky above me, and I could see the sun rays coming through, rippling through like calm waves above me. I felt like I was there for a few minutes, not sure what, but something pulled me out of my safe place. Something snapped me back into reality. I was transported back into the doctor's office, back in my seat with the sterile white walls, and the light just seemed really bright, brighter than what I remember it to be. I looked over to my doctor as she was talking about 3 masses in my spine, explaining the horrible pain that I was having in my neck and my back that I had for 3 months prior. She said I was needing emergency spinal surgery. She was admitting me to Maine Methodist right there and then. I just sat there, just trying to wrap my head around everything that she was saying. And so she looked at my sister, who was in there with me. Remember, she looked over at her and she said, "We need to admit your sister. We need to admit her into Maine Methodist. I've already sent them all the details, and I'll meet you there at the hospital." So I got up from my seat, I left the office, and when I got outside, my sister went to get the car from the parking garage, so I waited by the curb on the sidewalk and called my employer. I told my boss and the HR manager that I would not be in later that day because I was being admitted for spinal surgery. I told them that I was sorry for the inconvenience and that I or my sister would give them more details when possible. I remember they were like, "Oh my gosh, like, don't worry about us. Take care of yourself. Your health is most important," or something to that effect. My sister drove up, I got in, and she took me down the street to Maine Methodist Hospital. All I remember is sitting in the makeshift admissions waiting area because they were having construction at the time. And I just sat there, and it was just, I don't know, my mind was trying to put all the pieces together. I felt like I was in a daze. I felt like I was a zombie. Like my brain just went into autopilot. I was confused. I didn't know what, I don't know, it was just, I think I was like in shock of all the information that was given to me. It was not, I never ever dreamed or expected that it would be stage 4, that it would be the last stage. I had no idea or thought ever that it would be lifelong. And I definitely did not ever expect it to be terminal. And so I remember, I don't know why she or any doctor says this to any patients that are stage 4, but I remember her saying that statistically stage 4 patients, although it's terminal, it can be treated with chemotherapy. However, that if I were to do any research, not to believe everything that I read, but that I will come into some statistics that say that stage 4 patients life expectancy is 33 months from being diagnosed. And she said, you know, with treatment and everything, people can live a long life with treatment, as long as the treatment is working. And so I remember a time clock going off in me, like I'm gonna run out of time. And I don't know, I'm just gonna run out of time. So anyhow, I remember sitting there in the waiting area. My sister must have made some phone calls because my mom and my dad showed up. My son, they brought my son. My brothers, my aunt, and to be honest, I don't remember who else. I really can't tell you. I just sat there and tried not to cry. My life from that point on has never ever been the same. It's forever changed. The first year was the hardest. Rehab, radiation, mourning over my normal life before cancer. A lot of guilt. A lot of guilt. A lot of guilt. A lot of crying. Depression. And chemotherapy that had me wanting God to take me. But the first year will have to be in another video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.